Your life is shaped by what you tolerate because every decision you make, consciously or unconsciously, communicates your standards to the world. When you accept excuses, allow disrespect, or ignore repeated failures, you are essentially telling yourself and everyone around you what is acceptable in your life. Tolerance is not passive. It's an active choice that reinforces patterns, habits, and relationships. Every boundary you fail to enforce sends a signal that mediocrity, manipulation, or negativity is permissible. Your environment, your circle, and even your inner thoughts are constantly testing the limits of your tolerance. And whatever you permit repeatedly becomes the norm. When you tolerate laziness in yourself, progress slows to a crawl. When you tolerate negativity in others, your energy is drained before you even get a chance to act. Tolerance can be subtle, hidden under politeness or habit, but it is powerful because it sets invisible limits on what is possible for you. Small concessions, if repeated day after day, compound into a life that feels heavy, stagnant, or unfulfilled. Every tolerance you allow is a compromise with the version of yourself that wants more, that wants growth, that refuses to settle for anything less than excellence. Tolerating dishonesty, whether in personal relationships or professional settings, teaches the world that deception is acceptable around you. It shifts the expectation of how people can treat you and creates a cycle where trust is undermined and respect is optional. You cannot simultaneously demand integrity from others while excusing lies or half-truths. By tolerating dishonesty, you silently agree to participate in a system that erodes the foundations of your own standards and makes it difficult to achieve anything of lasting value. Tolerance of mediocrity is one of the most costly choices anyone can make. If you allow yourself or others to do the bare minimum consistently, excellence becomes a foreign concept. Tolerance here acts like slow poison. It gradually lowers the ceiling of what you believe is achievable. Mediocrity thrives in spaces where ambition is tolerated only when convenient, where effort is optional, and where commitment is negotiable. By setting a low threshold for what you accept, you limit your capacity to reach higher, to achieve more, and to become the best version of yourself. Tolerating negativity is equally destructive. It might look like casual complaining, constant criticism, or emotional drain from people who refuse to grow. Every time you absorb someone else's toxic energy without addressing it or setting boundaries, you internalize it, and it begins to affect your mindset, your decisions, and your drive. Negativity spreads through tolerance like a virus, influencing your focus, your confidence, and your ambition. If you want your life to reflect growth, joy, and possibility, you cannot make room for consistent pessimism or defeatist attitudes. Tolerance also applies to self-limiting beliefs. When you accept thoughts that tell you you're not capable, that you don't deserve success, or that your goals are impossible, you are setting invisible chains around your potential. Every time you justify fear, doubt, or procrastination, you reinforce patterns that limit your growth. Your internal environment is just as important as your external one, because it dictates the decisions you make and the actions you take or fail to take. Tolerating these thoughts allows them to shape your reality far more than any external circumstance ever could. In relationships, tolerance defines the standard of how you are treated. If you allow disrespect, manipulation, or inconsistency, you are creating a space where mistreatment is acceptable. Every repeated instance that goes unchallenged becomes a reinforcement of low expectations. People are quick to notice boundaries, they test them relentlessly. The moment you stop tolerating what is harmful, the dynamic shifts and suddenly respect, integrity, and alignment are non-negotiable. Life begins to reflect what you deem worthy of your attention and energy. Tolerance in professional life works the same way. Accepting poor leadership, weak work ethics, or chaotic systems without addressing them reinforces stagnation. Your productivity, career trajectory, and reputation are all influenced by what you tolerate. By consistently settling for subpar standards, you normalize underperformance for yourself and those around you. Excellence is rarely nurtured in environments where tolerance for inefficiency or incompetence runs unchecked. Your choices, actions, and limits define not only your results, but the culture you create in every sphere of influence. Even small acts of tolerance, repeated over time, accumulate into a life defined by compromise rather than achievement. Every decision to overlook, excuse, or accept what doesn't serve you slowly erodes your potential. Tolerance sets the invisible baseline for your life, silently dictating what is possible, what is allowed, and what is normal. The challenge is recognizing when tolerance becomes detrimental, because it rarely announces itself loudly. Instead, it creeps in quiet but persistent, shaping the life you live without you even realizing it. Tolerance is not just about what you endure externally, it also shapes your internal reality. Accepting fear, doubt, distraction, or indecision teaches your mind to settle, your heart to hesitate, and your ambition to weaken. Life responds to your tolerance as much as it does to your action. What you allow today, whether in thought, habit, or relationship, establishes the rules for tomorrow. Every tolerance is a choice, and every choice silently sculpts the architecture of your life. Focus is an asset, not a feeling, because it is something you cultivate, protect, and deploy deliberately rather than something that comes and goes with your mood. Feelings are fleeting, they shift with circumstances, distractions, and external stimuli. But focus is a tool, a skill, and a resource that compounds when managed correctly. It is the currency of achievement, and how you spend it determines the results you get. Every decision to direct your attention toward meaningful action instead of fleeting impulses strengthens this asset and multiplies its value over time. Focus requires intentionality. It is not enough to feel like concentrating. You must consciously decide where your mind, energy, and time will go. When you treat focus as an asset, you stop giving it away freely to every notification, gossip, or trivial concern. You begin to prioritize tasks that matter, invest energy in growth rather than entertainment, and refuse to let scattered attention dilute your potential. Each choice to protect your focus is like depositing into a bank account that yields exponential returns on productivity and results. Focus is scarce, and that scarcity is precisely why it is valuable. Multitasking, constant distraction, and reactive living all drain it quickly. People often overestimate how much focus they have and underestimate how much they give away. Every moment you spend engaging with things that do not advance your goals is a moment you cannot get back. Recognizing focus as an asset forces you to treat it like money. You budget it, guard it, and invest it where the returns are highest. Focus also has a compounding effect. When you concentrate on high-value actions consistently, momentum builds. Small efforts executed with attention accumulate into massive results over time. The skill of focus allows you to finish projects faster, think more clearly, and make better decisions. Like compound interest in finance, the benefits of focus grow geometrically, not linearly, when applied persistently. Without it, even talent, knowledge, or opportunity can fail to produce the results you want. Distractions are the natural enemy of focus, and understanding this distinction is critical. While feelings may ebb and flow with the environment, the disciplined management of focus ensures that external noise does not dictate your progress. Every alert, interruption, or irrelevant engagement is a potential withdrawal from your focus account. Treating focus as an asset requires creating boundaries, rituals, and systems that shield it from depletion. The stronger your systems, the more consistently your focus generates value. Focus is also a reflection of your priorities. Where your attention goes, energy flows and results follow. People who operate at high levels do not rely on motivation, they rely on disciplined focus. Motivation is unreliable because it is emotional. Focus, treated as an asset, is strategic. It allows you to accomplish tasks even when you are tired, uninspired, or uncertain. It ensures that your actions align with your long-term vision, rather than being hijacked by temporary impulses or fleeting distractions. To maximize the asset of focus, you must understand that it is transferable across all areas of life. Professional goals, personal growth, relationships, health, and creativity all require directed attention. Wasting focus in one area diminishes your ability to excel elsewhere. The more you learn to allocate this asset wisely, the more powerful and influential you become in every domain. People who master this understand that attention is limited, and they treat it with the same care that a successful investor treats capital. Protecting focus requires discipline, and discipline is the enforcement of boundaries on yourself. It means saying no to things that do not advance your priorities. It means resisting temptations that drain your attention. It means setting rules around technology, social interactions, and daily routines to create a consistent environment for concentrated effort. Each act of self-control is an investment in the asset of focus, increasing its availability for the tasks that truly matter. Focus is not only about productivity, it is about clarity and decision-making. When your mind is concentrated, your thinking sharpens, your creativity emerges, and your judgment improves. Scattered attention leads to poor decisions, wasted effort, and opportunities missed. Treating focus as an asset transforms how you engage with challenges, problems, and opportunities because your mental resources are directed where they can create the most impact. It allows you to act decisively instead of reactively. Finally, focus as an asset is renewable but fragile. It grows when managed well, strengthened through practice, and reinforced by structure. But it can be depleted quickly by negligence, distraction, or surrender to impulsive behavior. Recognizing its true value changes how you approach every day, every interaction, and every goal. Once you internalize that focus is an asset, not a feeling, you begin to operate with a level of efficiency, purpose, and power that others cannot match, because you are investing in something tangible that consistently yields extraordinary returns. Toxic relationships drain momentum because they take energy that should be spent on progress and redirect it toward conflict, frustration, and unnecessary stress. Every interaction with someone who undermines your growth, criticizes without purpose, or thrives on negativity subtracts from the time and energy available to pursue your goals. Momentum is built through consistent action, clarity, and focus, And when toxic relationships occupy your mental and emotional space, that momentum slows, stalls, or even reverses entirely. The presence of toxicity introduces friction into your life that consumes energy faster than you can generate it. Toxic people are often disguised as friends, family, or colleagues, making their impact subtle yet powerful. They may appear supportive on the surface, but underlying their behavior is envy, resentment, or insecurity that manifests as discouragement. Each small comment, passive-aggressive remark, or subtle criticism acts like a leak in a bucket, gradually draining your confidence, focus, and drive. When your energy is siphoned off in this way, the pace of your progress diminishes, and the clarity of your purpose becomes clouded. Negative emotions spread through relationships like a virus. Frustration, anger, jealousy, and fear are contagious, and when you spend time with people who consistently operate from these states, you internalize their patterns. Momentum is not only about physical action, but also mental clarity, emotional stability, and consistent decision-making. Toxic relationships compromise all of these pillars, leaving you exhausted, distracted, and less capable of sustaining forward motion in your life. Toxic relationships also foster dependency and complacency. People who drain your energy may encourage reliance on them for validation, support, or direction, even when it is detrimental to your growth. Momentum requires autonomy and self-reliance because the pursuit of goals often demands speed, focus, and persistence. When someone consistently holds you back emotionally or manipulates your choices, you begin to lose the ability to act decisively, slowing the trajectory of your personal and professional life. Time is one of the most valuable resources, and toxic relationships waste it. Every hour spent managing drama, defending yourself, or calming emotional turbulence is an hour stolen from skill development, strategic planning, and executing actions that move you closer to your goals. Momentum builds when your actions are consistent and aligned with purpose, but toxicity creates interruptions that break flow, divert attention, and increase stress. Even small, repeated drains on your time can cumulatively derail long-term progress. Toxic relationships often distort perspective. They normalize negative thinking, undermine ambition, or convince you that limitations are permanent. When surrounded by people who see obstacles as insurmountable, doubts as truths, and effort as futile, your ability to maintain momentum suffers. Confidence falters, risk-taking diminishes, and the willingness to push through challenges wanes. Momentum depends on forward motion, and anything that compromises your belief in your ability to succeed directly slows that motion. Accountability becomes a challenge in toxic relationships. Instead of constructive feedback or mutual growth, toxic individuals often blame, criticize, or project their failures onto you. Momentum relies on honest self-assessment, learning from mistakes, and continuously improving. But when your energy is tied up managing toxicity, these opportunities for growth are lost. You spend more time navigating emotional traps than building the skills and strategies necessary to advance. Toxic relationships also drain creativity and innovation. Mental and emotional exhaustion limit your capacity to think deeply, strategize effectively, or generate new ideas. Momentum is fueled by problem-solving, innovation, and proactive decision-making. When someone constantly injects negativity, criticism, or distraction, the space needed for focused thinking is diminished, and the ability to move projects or goals is compromised. The mind cannot operate at peak performance when it is burdened with persistent toxicity. Boundaries are often tested or ignored in toxic relationships, creating instability that disrupts progress. People who lack respect for your time, energy, or priorities introduce constant interruptions and crises that prevent sustained focus. Momentum requires continuity, repeated action, and uninterrupted execution. When toxic relationships erode your boundaries, consistency becomes impossible, and the very forward motion necessary for success is halted. Finally, toxic relationships limit potential by draining the emotional fuel that powers ambition. Energy, confidence, and resilience are finite, and when spent maintaining or salvaging harmful connections, they are unavailable for growth and achievement. Momentum requires that you move with purpose, speed, and alignment, and every interaction that adds weight to your shoulders slows that motion. Toxicity doesn't just distract, it diminishes capacity, leaving progress stunted and dreams unrealized. Growth requires separation and alignment because progress cannot flourish in environments or relationships that are misaligned with your vision and purpose. Separation is not about isolation. It is about creating the necessary distance from people, habits, or situations that inhibit development. When you remove yourself from influences that normalize mediocrity, distraction, or negativity, you open space for clarity, focus, and strategic action. Alignment ensures that the energy you invest, the relationships you maintain, and the habits you cultivate all work in harmony to support the version of yourself you are striving to become. Without this dual approach, growth is inconsistent and fragile. Separation allows you to reassess what truly matters in your life. It creates breathing room for introspection, self-reflection, and understanding the patterns that have kept you stagnant. Often, growth is hindered not by external limitations, but by the entanglements we maintain in fear, comfort, or obligation. By stepping away from influences that pull you in multiple directions, you can see clearly which actions, values, and relationships propel you forward, and which ones hold you back. This distance is essential for creating the perspective needed to make informed, intentional choices. Alignment amplifies the effect of separation because growth is not simply about avoiding negative influences. It is also about intentionally engaging with what strengthens and advances you. This means surrounding yourself with people who challenge, inspire, and elevate you, committing to routines that develop skill and discipline, and placing yourself in environments conducive to learning and progress. Alignment is the deliberate coordination of resources, actions, and attention toward a unified purpose, creating a force that magnifies every effort you make. Separation also protects your energy, which is the most critical resource for sustainable growth. Energy expended on drama, distraction, or emotional drain is energy that cannot be invested in learning, creating, or executing. By identifying and limiting interactions with sources of unnecessary stress, you preserve mental clarity and emotional stability. Growth requires consistent output, and without proper management of energy, consistency collapses. Separation ensures that your efforts are focused, not fragmented, allowing momentum to build without interruption. Alignment goes hand in hand with clarity of purpose. When your goals, environment, and relationships are in sync, every decision becomes easier, every action more effective, and every outcome more predictable. Misalignment, on the other hand, causes conflict, confusion, and wasted effort. Even small inconsistencies between values and surroundings can create friction that slows progress. Growth requires that your internal priorities and external circumstances are harmonized so that effort translates directly into measurable advancement. Separation often challenges comfort zones, which is where real growth occurs. Growth demands change, and change triggers discomfort, resistance, and sometimes conflict with people or systems that prefer the status quo. Choosing separation means accepting temporary tension in exchange for long-term gain. It means prioritizing future potential over immediate approval or convenience. This intentional discomfort is a signal that boundaries are being reinforced, focus is being preserved, and momentum is being cultivated. Alignment nurtures accountability and discipline. When your surroundings, habits, and relationships support your goals, it becomes easier to maintain consistency. Mentors, peers, and environments that reflect high standards hold you to those standards. Tools, routines, and structures aligned with your objectives reduce decision fatigue and minimize wasted effort. Growth thrives in systems that reinforce the behaviors necessary for success, while separation removes the noise that undermines these systems. Separation is also about releasing attachment to outcomes dictated by others. Growth cannot coexist with dependency on validation, approval, or consent from people who do not understand or respect your path. By stepping away from pressures that do not serve your objectives, you reclaim autonomy over your trajectory. This autonomy allows you to experiment, fail, learn, and pivot without external interference, which accelerates learning and self-mastery. Alignment ensures that focus is concentrated on high-impact actions rather than scattered across conflicting priorities. It creates synergy between vision, effort, and resources, turning small, consistent actions into exponential results. Without alignment, even disciplined work may produce minimal progress because efforts are diluted or misdirected. Growth is optimized when every action, choice, and decision is intentionally linked to a coherent strategy and a clear set of objectives. Finally, growth requires the ongoing maintenance of both separation and alignment. These are not one-time decisions, they are continuous practices. New influences, opportunities, and challenges constantly enter your life, and without vigilance, misalignment and unnecessary entanglement creep back in. By consistently evaluating what to separate from and what to align with, you create a dynamic framework that supports continuous evolution, ensuring that every step you take contributes meaningfully to becoming the person you are capable of being. Peace and focus multiply performance because they create the mental and emotional conditions necessary for sustained excellence. When your mind is calm and undistracted, it can fully process information, make clear decisions, and execute tasks efficiently. Without peace, attention is fragmented, energy is wasted on internal conflict, and actions lose precision. Without focus, even talent, preparation, or opportunity fail to produce optimal results. Together, peace and focus act as force multipliers, enhancing not just the quantity of your work, but the quality, creativity, and impact of every effort. Peace begins with managing your internal environment. A cluttered mind, unresolved emotions, or constant worry consumes mental bandwidth, leaving little available for strategic thinking or problem solving. When you intentionally cultivate inner calm, you conserve energy for action rather than distraction. Peace allows you to respond instead of react, to plan instead of panic, and to see opportunities where others only see obstacles. It is the foundation upon which consistent high performance is built. Focus, on the other hand, directs energy toward what truly matters. It is the mechanism through which your talents, skills, and resources are multiplied. Dispersed attention reduces efficiency, slows decision-making, and increases mistakes. Focus eliminates unnecessary mental noise, allowing your actions to become precise and intentional. When combined with peace, focus becomes a controlled, concentrated force that channels your abilities toward maximum effect. The absence of peace creates friction in performance. Stress, anxiety, and emotional turbulence slow reaction time, cloud judgment, and sap resilience. High performers recognize that external calm cannot replace internal peace. No matter how organized or well-equipped an environment may be, internal chaos will sabotage results. By cultivating peace, you reduce wasted effort caused by overthinking, doubt, or emotional distraction, ensuring that every action contributes directly to your objectives. Focus multiplies performance by creating momentum. Small, consistent, and directed actions accumulate over time, producing results far greater than scattered effort. Momentum is built when attention is uninterrupted and actions are aligned with goals. Distractions break momentum, dissipating the energy needed for forward motion. When you pair focus with peace, each step compounds more efficiently because effort is concentrated and free from internal or external disruption. Peace also enhances creativity and problem solving. When your mind is calm, it can connect ideas, recognize patterns, and generate solutions more effectively. High performance is not just about speed or effort, it is about the ability to navigate complex challenges, innovate, and adapt. A peaceful mind is capable of deeper thought, greater insight, and more effective execution, while a chaotic mind produces fragmented ideas, poor decisions, and inconsistent results. Focus ensures that the energy generated by peace is not wasted. A calm mind without direction produces serenity but little progress. Focus channels that serenity into intentional effort, creating a powerful feedback loop. Each action taken with concentrated attention reinforces clarity, confidence, and capability. Performance multiplies because your actions are not only deliberate but optimized for impact. Peace also protects against burnout, which is a silent destroyer of long-term performance. Sustained effort without emotional stability leads to exhaustion, disengagement, and declining results. By maintaining internal calm, you preserve the energy required for prolonged periods of disciplined action. Focus ensures that this preserved energy is invested wisely, not frittered away on distractions or reactive behaviors. Focus also clarifies priorities. When your attention is intentional, you can distinguish between what is urgent and what is important, between actions that move you forward and those that merely occupy time. Peace allows you to make these distinctions without emotional interference, reducing errors and unnecessary effort. This combination ensures that you operate not only efficiently but strategically, maximizing output relative to input. Finally, the synergy of peace and focus creates exponential impact. Peace stabilizes the mind, conserves energy, and enables thoughtful action, while focus directs every ounce of that stabilized energy toward meaningful outcomes. Together, they transform potential into results, effort into accomplishment, and intention into tangible progress. They're the secret multiplier behind sustained high performance, ensuring that every action counts, every decision matters, and every step forward accelerates your journey toward mastery. Personal responsibility is non-negotiable because it is the foundation upon which every success, achievement, and meaningful change is built. No one else is obligated to manage your life, protect your goals, or correct your mistakes. Waiting for external validation, intervention, or rescue only delays progress and undermines your potential. True growth begins the moment you accept that your actions, decisions, and outcomes are yours alone. Owning this truth empowers you to take control of your life, rather than being a passenger in circumstances created by others. Accepting personal responsibility means refusing to blame circumstances, people, or luck for your failures or setbacks. Life will always present obstacles, delays, and challenges, but these are tests of your ability to act decisively rather than excuses for inaction. When you internalize responsibility, setbacks are no longer reasons to quit. They are signals to adapt, learn, and double down. Every failure becomes an opportunity for insight and growth because the focus shifts from complaining about conditions to asking, what can I do differently to move forward? Personal responsibility demands accountability in every area of life. It is not selective. It applies to your career, relationships, health, finances, and mindset. When you accept ownership of your choices, you stop outsourcing outcomes to others and begin executing with intention. Accountability creates clarity because you recognize the direct link between effort and results. It eliminates the dangerous illusion that life happens to you, replacing it with the empowering understanding that you are the driver of your own destiny. This principle also requires self-discipline. Personal responsibility is meaningless without consistent action. Saying, I am responsible, is only words until you align your behavior with that declaration. Every day, every choice, and every effort must reflect ownership of the life you want to create. Discipline ensures that responsibility is active, not theoretical. It transforms acknowledgement into tangible progress by translating intention into action. And it prevents excuses from diluting commitment. Owning your life includes taking responsibility for your mindset. Emotional reactions, thoughts, and beliefs shape behavior, and no one else is accountable for the quality of your inner world. When you refuse to let frustration, fear, or doubt dictate your actions, you exercise personal responsibility over your mental and emotional state. This is critical because clarity, confidence, and focus are all cultivated internally, and surrendering this control weakens your ability to navigate challenges effectively. Personal responsibility also demands that you recognize your role in relationships and interactions. You are accountable for how you communicate, how you contribute, and how you respond to others. Blaming people for misunderstandings, conflicts, or disappointments is a shortcut that erodes growth and connection. Responsibility means responding with integrity even when others fail to act appropriately. It requires maturity, self-awareness, and the willingness to maintain standards without external enforcement. Financial and career growth are impossible without personal responsibility. Earning, saving, investing, and planning for the future require proactive decisions rather than passive hope. Waiting for opportunity or external intervention will never produce consistent results. Each choice you make about time management, skill development, and resource allocation reflects whether you embrace responsibility or continue deferring it. Wealth and career advancement are consequences of consistent ownership over your actions and priorities. Health and well-being also fall under this principle. You are responsible for the choices that affect your body, mind, and energy. Diet, exercise, rest, and stress management all require proactive engagement. No one else can live your life for you, and relying on others to enforce healthy habits undermines autonomy and progress. Personal responsibility in health ensures that your energy and capacity remain optimized for achievement, giving you the foundation to perform at your best consistently. Taking responsibility does not mean isolating yourself or rejecting help. It means controlling your response to circumstances and external influences. Guidance, mentorship, and support can accelerate growth, but they cannot replace ownership. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is often the willingness to act independently and decisively, using resources without surrendering accountability. Responsibility amplifies every advantage because it ensures that all external input is converted into actionable progress rather than excuses. Finally, personal responsibility is the ultimate form of empowerment. When you fully accept that your choices, actions, and outcomes are yours, you reclaim control over your future. You stop waiting for others to approve, rescue, or validate you. You make decisions with courage, act with consistency, and own the results, whether positive or negative. This mindset transforms setbacks into lessons, challenges into opportunities, and potential into results, because your life becomes a reflection of your actions, not the whims or limitations imposed by anyone else.